When you hear this, then draw a correlation between what this article is saying, what these people are saying, and what Ripple has told us. And when you draw a correlation between the two, you start to realize just how potent of a statement Ripple was making when they said that their stablecoin only complements XRP, that XRP is the best of the best product that they have. This is very powerful. Okay, so now let me read this to you, right? This article is titled, "Regulations Become Crucial as Stablecoins Push Payments Frontier." It begins here. It says, stablecoin market is positioning itself as at the forefront of payments innovation. Let's just stop there. The stablecoin market is positioning itself at the forefront of payments innovation. If that's the case, Ripple came out with their RLUSD. If that's the case, then how much more at the front is XRP, for lack of a better word? How much more powerful is XRP? If stablecoins are this powerful, but Ripple's saying, hey, no, the stablecoin is just something we're toying around with. It's something that is going to complement XRP. It's going to make XRP more powerful, bring more business. How powerful then is XRP by your calculations? That's a powerful statement when you draw that correlation. It says, and at the forefront and that forefront is at an inflection point. On Tuesday, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan said in an interview that the bank would, quote, go into, unquote, stable coins if regulation were passed in the U.S. Now, stop once again. And we heard them say this before. Problem is, we know they have a deep relationship with Ripple. One, so do they build their own stablecoin? I don't think so. Now, two, since they have such a deep relationship with Ripple, not only do they have a deep relationship with Ripple, but let's be real. And I hate to say it, but Bank of America's had a lot of trouble. They have. Go look into them. Look into some of their articles. They have a lot of problems, just like a lot of these other banks do as well, like Citi does. And I think we heard from Citi the other day. But do they build their own stablecoin? I don't think so. I think they get provided or utilize possibly RLUSD, or like an article. I think we read the article yesterday. I'm not sure if it was yesterday but an article I recently read was saying how customized services, just like I told everybody, customized services are going to be the way to go. These chains will be customizing everything for these banks. The banks will 100% be utilizing these offered products from DLT companies as opposed to building their own in-house, which is what they led everybody to believe over the past 3 years. That's what they led people to believe. I mean, it's just not true. But here. So because of that relationship, how many meetings does Ripple take with Bank of America over the next year or two, if they haven't already convinced them to utilize other systems besides an XRP based system? I'm talking about like stable coins, etc. Because I think they're sold on XRP. I think a lot of these banks are going to be utilizing XRP. It's going to be very easy. And then having them all on one network is like having the new version of Swift, but on steroids, because you have the global reach, you have the neutrality, you don't have geopolitical tensions. I don't think that that's far-fetched at all. You've heard me say, similar for 3 years now, but what we're beginning to see is this actually come into fruition. So now let's read this extra little bit here. It says, but the second part of Moynihan's commentary was crucial. There exist a number of issues that need to be resolved from a regulation standpoint. And this is what I'm talking about. You see, if they build something from the ground up, which is probably what they're contemplating, but they're not sure about it. That's why they're coming out with all these articles talking about it. If they were certain, they would just pull the trigger on it, right? If they build something from the ground up, now they have to worry about regulation and coming into alignment with the regulatory environment. But Ripple's already regulated with their stablecoin. Their stablecoin is in the clear. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I correct on that? I believe I remember something about them, being in the clear. And if not, they're about to be in the clear. They have screamed from the rooftops that they've been coming into compliance for the longest of times. And now we see a more loose regulatory environment. So I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So as opposed to building your own from the ground up, you begin to utilize Ripple's stablecoin, which is going to be in the clear or is in the clear, one of the two. Then That flows perfectly into XRP, which Bank of America has praised multiples of times. Makes perfect sense. Why would you have a multitude of systems in there? I mean, for that one, payments flow, for lack of a better word, when you can just use both of those components from the same system. Now, if you want something else, like something to link everything together, you could use another chain like Chainlink. That's probably why Ripple has established some sort of relationship with Chainlink, just like Swift did. And that's going to be an interesting dynamic. I don't remember exactly how that relationship, was established or going to work. But I just know it was an article about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, if that article was accurate. But it makes perfect sense. But nonetheless, if you want a different happening, you go with a different chain. Connectivity, Chainlink, cross-border payments, payroll, offline QR code payments. Ripple can do all of that, right? So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So now let's move on here to this article. So now this article here is titled, and this is what I'm telling people, the banks have been in trouble. They haven't gotten out of trouble. Nothing has changed. Even more of them are in trouble now, as a matter of fact. But this article is titled, U.S. Banks Unrealized Losses Explode by 118.4 billion in 3 months as FDIC declares 66 banks on their quote unquote problem list. Now, remember what we uncovered a long time ago. When they declare these 66 banks, these are just the most extreme. There are banks below this tier that are also problems, but they're not the most extreme. They only release the most extreme. And what it does, it paints the illusion that only a few banks are in trouble. That's what they do. You can look into it for yourself. You can find the list for yourself, although it's a little bit difficult, but you can find the list for yourself. What you're going to see are thousands of banks that are in trouble. That's a fact. We saw it. Thousands of banks are in trouble, but they only release these that are the most. I'm talking about they're so much in trouble, they're about to collapse, right? So that's what this 66 is. And then it makes it appear to you and I as though, oh, that's not that many banks, but it's not true. It's an illusion. It's a manipulation. All right. So this is what it says here. The amount of unrealized losses on American banks' balance sheets is surging. In its new quarterly banking profile for the fourth quarter of 2024, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation says U.S. banks reported a massive $118.4 billion increase in unrealized losses on securities, bringing the total to $482.4 billion. They're in major trouble. Another reason why they're going to need DLT, crypto, lending services, staking, delegation. They need to bring their customers back. That's something I'm about to cover once more. We're about to cover something deep. Make sure you're in the members only section before I release this next video. It says the FDIC says spikes in longer term interest rates, like the 30-year mortgage and 10-year treasury rates, lower the value of bank securities, triggering the increase in unrealized losses. Unrealized losses are the difference between the price banks pay for securities and the current market value of those assets. Concern over such paper losses played a major role in the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. See, that's what I'm talking about. They're in big trouble. Here's the thing. If they collapse, if any of these banks collapse, and they've been getting bailed out for a long time, that's why they didn't collapse before. They were getting bailed out. The FDIC said they were removing, the support structure. But what they did at that time, they removed that old school support structure in name only, renamed it, and continued to bail these banks out, continued to lend them capital. And the banks, if you remember, I literally covered this, read the articles, read their own words. What some of the bankers were saying is if they're going to offer us this money, why not take it? Some of them didn't even need that money. So it's unbelievable. Some of them didn't need the money. They took it anyway. Out of their mouths, they said, why not? If it's available, why not take it? And so they've been able to prop themselves up longer than normal. But if they collapse, and it's a big if, who knows? We have to wait and see what the current political environment in the U.S. is going to do. Are they going to rescue these entities? Are they going to let them fall? Who's to know? Who's to know? But if they do fall, gold will skyrocket. That's number one. Bitcoin probably will skyrocket as well. Not as much as gold, in my humble opinion. I think gold will be more significant and more permanent. Of course, nothing is absolutely permanent. I probably should say more semi-permanent. Gold will explode. The bank coins long term will get even more bullish because then they will definitely need the bank coins 100%. So they will benefit as well. So watch the banks closely. Right now, there's so many different things going on in the world that the banking news is getting buried. Not a lot of people are keeping up with it, but still, this is a major, major catalyst. This is another reason why, if you saw one of the videos I released recently, there was an article talking about the tokenization of real estate and, and how the large, asset managers and large businesses, they're all in on tokenization. They want to tokenize commercial real estate. And the reason for that is that problem never changed. That was never solved. The solutions they were coming up with didn't work. So all of the problems that have that were before for the banking system persist. That is not good. There's trouble brewing. It says the FDIC says spikes in longer term interest rates like the 30-year mortgage and 10-year. Oh, we read that already. This is concern. Oh, let me skip past that. Amid a 2.3% rise in banking profits, the FDIC said 66 banks are now on its, quote, problem bank list, unquote, a slight decrease from 68 in the prior quarter. Once again, take a look at those lists for yourself. So now let's go here to this article. This article is titled Trader Michael Vanderpop says Bitcoin bull market isn't over, predicts Bitcoin could surge by 195% this cycle. I don't know about the percentage, but yeah, it's not over. And it showed resilience after the last little dip. You saw some Bitcoin buying, you saw some dip buying, and it's just a matter of who was buying that dip. I haven't seen the information on that yet, but that will be very, very important. Crypto strategist Michael Vanderpop says Bitcoin remains in a bull market despite correcting to $80,000 range this week. And he is predicting a massive rally. I could see that happening as well. When? I don't know. But I certainly could see that happening. None of the positive catalysts are gone. So not much has changed except manipulation of the market. It says here, and they'll use any excuse. There's so many different false catalysts that major entities, large asset managers, large whales can use false catalysts that they can use as smoke screens when they want to manipulate the market and just sell and then buy in at a low, take profit and buy in at a low. There's a lot of ways they can do that. So it doesn't mean every single catalyst that an article covers or so-called experts cover are valid catalysts. No, you have to look into that a little bit more deeply to see if that's something that's real or something that's just being utilized for the manipulation of the market. We have a lot of new powerful players are going to be coming into this market because they've been flushed out of the stock market system. There's been a lot of looking into, and I've been talking about this for like 2.5 years. I was talking about how a lot of powerful figures, not only in the US, but across the world, but a lot of them are in the US, how they have like a certain smaller salary, but they're all millionaires. And it's not because people are coming to their dinners. You've heard me say that multiple times over the past few years, and a lot of it comes from manipulation of the stock market. Okay, well, apparently some people are looking into that, right? After all this time, they're looking into that. And so there's a lot of shifting around of funds and dynamic their dynamic situations. And a lot of that's going to be coming over to crypto. There's a lot of anonymity in crypto, right? There's a lot more leeway to play in crypto. So expect a lot of volatility in crypto because of that as well. A quote, I don't think that the cycle is over. I think it barely started. Even the hype on Bitcoin wasn't anywhere near euphoria. It says, I do believe that we'll see Bitcoin above $200,000, $250,000 this cycle. I also believe we'll have 1 year of outperformance of the ecosystem versus Bitcoin, unquote. During 2017, the markets have seen multiple 30% plus corrections. Bitcoin is currently down 25% since the all-time high. That's a normal correction. Nothing strange, nothing to worry. It says nothing to worry. I think it should say nothing to worry about. But I agree with that. Multiple corrections. And here's the thing, and I said this, and I know this seems like people hate to hear it. I don't know why. But it seems like people use this as a manipulation tactic to push the price lower. Anytime Bitcoin goes down, they start screaming, even though the catalysts haven't changed, the negative catalysts haven't changed, the positive catalysts haven't changed. They start screaming to the sky as though crypto is burning to the ground. These are the same types of individuals who in the bloody bear market, they said crypto was dead. Do people not remember that? They said crypto was dead. They said it was over. Does it look like crypto was over to you? No. So that's why I always say, just be careful. Be careful. Do your own research. That's the best thing you could possibly do. But no, I don't believe the Bitcoin bull run is over. I'm standing my ground. I think Bitcoin's going to explode. I don't know when. It's definitely going to go back up. I can't say with absolute certainty. I don't want to be an absolutist, but you know what I mean. I believe it's going to go back up significantly. And no catalyst has changed that. All right, so now let's move on here. We have a little bit more information here. It says here, states likely to adopt Bitcoin reserves first. Let's find out who they believe this is. It says U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis expects progress toward a Bitcoin reserve to be slower at the federal level. States are likely to adopt Bitcoin reserves before the U.S. federal government does. I can believe that for sure. The federal government is the laziest. And some states do act very quickly. They do. You see it happening already, not with Bitcoin, but with other things. They jump right on top of it. So it depends. Cynthia Lummis reportedly said on February 28th during the Bitcoin Investor Week conference in New York, quote, "My bets are that you'll see a state have a Bitcoin strategic reserve before the federal government," unquote, Lummis said, according to a Bloomberg report. Proposed legislation that would require the U.S. federal government to create a national Bitcoin stockpile. Her bill, dubbed the Bitcoin Act, calls for the U.S. Treasury Department to gradually accumulate 1 million Bitcoin, ultimately acquiring, quote, a total stake of approximately 5% of total Bitcoin supply, mirroring the size and scope of gold reserves held by the United States, unquote, according to Lummis' website. All right, but which states do they believe are going to be doing it first? There are currently 18 U.S. states that have crypto reserve bills pending Senate votes, while 2, Arizona and Utah, are in the final stages of the approval process. State crypto investment bills have been rejected in Montana. And it was funny because I was actually, I don't know if I misinterpreted what was going on, but I was actually just covering an article about Montana. We're a little bit excited about that. Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Pennsylvania, really. It says, although some states run by, well, they're going to be left out. That's on them. Anyone right now, in my humble opinion, any of these big entities that are not going to get into Bitcoin are going to miss out. While their states definitely need it, nations definitely need that Bitcoin pop. They do. All of these states and a lot of these nations are starving for capital. They're sitting on top of a bunch of air balloons. They're just propped up. It's all fake money. It's all fake value. It's all, or they're taking money from others, etc. They need it. They need something that is their own value that they earned themselves. I'm just telling you. So if they want to be left out, what can you do? It says, although some states run by, and then they get a little bit more political, don't need to do that. All right. So let's go here to this article about the dip buyers. And hopefully we're going to find out who was buying the dip. That would be the best information. This article is titled Bitcoin Dip Buyers Step in Friday, but what might weekend action bring? So let's scroll down here and find out. It says the price of Bitcoin in the U.S. Friday morning trade has bounced back to about $84,000. Of course, it's Saturday now, but still, like I said, it's not about the day. It's about who was buying those dips. That's what we're trying to find out. OK, so that's why I'm covering this article. I have to say that because some people are like, well, that article was, talking about yesterday. Yes, but who bought the dip? That information is still relevant right now. That's why. All right. So it says here the crypto fear and greed index overnight dipped to a 10, a level not seen since the depths of the 2022 bear market. Of course, yeah, but people panic all the time. And right now they're in an extreme mood. So you're going to get extreme fear or extreme greed. There's a lot of extremes right now. It makes perfect sense. It says even the Friday gain, Bitcoin is lower by more than 1% from 24 hours ago. And the broader CoinDesk 20 index is down roughly 2%. Yes, but do you have information on who was buying the dip? Standard Charter's Jeff Kendrick a couple of weeks ago pointed out that weekends have not been kind to Bitcoin as of late. All right, that's a little bit of information. Not the information that we are looking for. And I don't think they tell us in this article. I'm scrolling through, I'm speed reading, and it doesn't look like they tell us who was buying the dip. So we're going to have to wait on that information. But that is the important information we really want, that we really need, that I could use. So now let's see, we have anything else, anything left here. Nope. And you don't want to hear about quantum science, do you? So that's it. So that's that. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.